Hello everyone, welcome back to Slovak with Sam. Today we are looking a little bit deeper at pronunciation, namely at Spodobovanie, or assimilation. So you might have heard, from me nonetheless, that Slovak pronunciation is very simple. You simply read what you see and there are no exceptions. Except the exceptions, that is. A teacher of mine used to say that the exceptions build the rules. And so let's look at one of the most notable exceptions in the Slovak language to pronunciation, and that is spodobovanie, or assimilation. Before I go to the charts and everything, I want to quickly talk about what assimilation is, because it is quite likely that you already understand the principle of assimilation, and you probably even use it in your native language. Assimilation, the proper name for it in Slovak is znalostná asimilácia, or voicing assimilation. And what this basically means is that when you have two consonants of differing voice, they will drift together in pronunciation. That is the simplest linguistic definition. What this will mean is that certain consonants, when placed right next to each other, will be pronounced differently. Now, luckily for us, this is not as complicated as it sounds. The rules for this are quite simple. We can divide all consonants into voiced and unvoiced consonants. Voiced consonants are those where your vocal cords vibrate, such as b, d, y. And unvoiced are those where your vocal cords don't vibrate, like p, t, k. You can feel the difference between these very simply by placing your hand on your throat and pronouncing the sound. Be careful when you pronounce the unvoiced consonants. The vowels you pronounce when accompanying them might cause your vocal cords to vibrate. So when you say p and you feel your vocal cords vibrating, that is in fact the sound making your vocal cords vibrate. If you were to pronounce simply solely the sound, you would not have any vibration to your vocal cords. So dividing consonants into voiced and unvoiced is very simple. However, there is another distinction which we have to make, and that is pairing. Pairing is the act of placing consonants into pairs of one voiced and one unvoiced consonant, so that when the voiced consonant is unvoiced, you get the second part of the pair. For example, b, p. So b is a bilabial consonant, and it is voiced. That means you pronounce it with your lips, and it is voiced, b. When you remove the voicing, when you unvoice this b sound, you get a bilabial unvoiced consonant, or p. And that is the pair to b. That is the key to understanding this chart. We have the voiced paired consonants and the unvoiced paired consonants on the top, and the bottom we have voiced unpaired consonants. The voiced unpaired consonants will never change the way they are pronounced. However, they will influence the pronunciation of other consonants. So how does assimilation work? We've worked our way through all the theory, now let's look at practical examples. Assimilation will always occur when there are two consonants next to each other. That is the first rule. Assimilation will only occur when there are two consonants right next to each other. This can occur in three places. It can occur at the beginning of a word, such as in the first example, včela, where the v, the voiced v, will assimilate to the unvoiced f. It can occur in the middle of the word, babka, the second example, the voiced b will change to the unvoiced p, so babka. And at the end of the word, or it's also referred to as the word border, ješ, s. So the voiced ž will change to the unvoiced sh. So question, which sound will be assimilating? How do you know which sound will be changed? Simply said, always the first one. So that's a second rule of assimilation. The first sound will always change to match the second sound. So our third rule is that assimilation will only occur when two consonants of differing voice are placed next to each other. That means if we have two unvoiced consonants next to each other, there will be no assimilation. Similarly, if we have two voiced consonants next to each other, there will be no assimilation. However, if we have a voiced and an unvoiced consonant, or an unvoiced and then a voiced consonant, assimilation will occur. So let's look at the very first example. V, ch, l, a. Včela. So let's look at our rules. We have two consonants next to each other. They are at the start of a word, and they are both of differing voice. What does this mean? It means that assimilation will occur. And so, which consonant do we assimilate? We assimilate the first consonant. So the voiced consonant is first and the unvoiced is second, which means that both consonants will become unvoiced. So the second consonant is the unvoiced ch, which means both consonants will change to unvoiced. So that is včela will not be pronounced včela, however, it will be pronounced včela. Let's look at the second example. Babka. B-A-B-K-A. So, let's look at our three rules yet again. There are two consonants next to each other. They are in the middle of a word. And, for the third rule, they are of differing voice. We have the voiced b and the unvoiced k. So once again, the second consonant is unvoiced, which means both consonants will become unvoiced. So, babka will not be babka, but babka. Great, now let's look at the final example. This is quite a tricky one, many times to spot out, and this usually occurs at word borders, especially with the prepositions s and z. You will learn about those sometime later. However, let's look at this. There are, in fact, two consonants next to each other in yej, s, yej, s. So the two consonants that are next to each other don't occur in the same word. They're in two different words. However, we do have two consonants next to each other at an end of a word, and they do have differing voice. So the second consonant, the unvoiced s, will change the voiced j sound to an unvoiced sh sound, and we will have yesh, s. Alright, so the final exception for this video is going to be the letter v. The letter v can be assimilated to two different sounds depending on the position of the assimilation within the word. Let's go over the one case that we already know, the beginning of the word. So at the beginning of the word, when it is followed by an unvoiced consonant, so when it would be assimilated, it will change to f, its pair. We have already seen that, such as in the word včela. The v and ch consonants are next to each other, they have differing voice, so the first will assimilate to the second and become the f. So, včela. And then for the word then, vtedy, once again, same thing. V and t are two consonants next to each other, differing voice. The second one is unvoiced, so it will change the pronunciation of the first to be unvoiced as well. So, vtedy. Great, now let's look at the second assimilation. So by default, not at the beginning of the word, the letter v will actually assimilate to the vowel u, such as in the word dievča. So standard 3 assimilation rules still work. There are two consonants next to each other in the middle of a word, and one is voiced and the other is unvoiced. However, the v will not change to its paired consonant f, it will change to the vowel u. And this also happens, funnily enough, at the end of a word, regardless if it is followed by a voiced or unvoiced consonant. So for example, the word dau is not pronounced dav, but dau, because it ends in the letter v, which should then be assimilated to the vowel u, according to this rule. So that's everything for today. Thank you for watching. I hope this video was relatively understandable. If you still have troubles with pronouncing things, I recommend you to just take a week or so and practice all the sounds. Just go to a dictionary and look up random words, or even just open up the Slovak newspaper, any of the major newspapers, and just read. No matter whether you understand or not, try and pronounce the words correctly. I have a video coming out later this week which will go over how to use a dictionary to actually find pronunciation of words a bit better than the ones that are in Google Translate. If you still have any problems, feel free to write a comment or write me an email. I will hopefully get to answering those quickly. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.